Welcome and thank you for listening to this Paragon Edge audio blog. Commercial software systems rarely become complex by accident. In most cases, complexity is the cumulative result of success. Additional features, integration points, channels, and user journeys are introduced to meet expanding consumer and market demands. Meeting a broader range of customer needs typically increases transaction volume and commercial return. As systems evolve to support this growth, the number of functional paths, data conditions, and execution contexts increases accordingly. This type of natural expansion introduces a less visible challenge. The effort required to validate that payment systems continue to behave as intended does not grow linearly with functionality. Instead, testing and validation demands increase disproportionately as interactions multiply and dependencies deepen. As a result, organizations often find that established testing processes cannot scale at the same pace as the systems they are intended to protect. This gap and the tension it creates are not the result of poor engineering or inadequate intent, but an emergent property of modern software systems operating under commercial pressure. To reason effectively about this problem, it is necessary to step back from individual tools and consider the testing problem space from a broader perspective. As software systems grow in functional scope and operational reach, the environments required to validate them often become increasingly constrained by physical infrastructure. In domains such as ATM networks, this constraint is particularly acute, as test capacity is frequently tied to limited hardware availability, expensive raised floor lab space, and geographic proximity of personnel to these assets. Virtualizing an ATM test environment immediately enables elastic scalability and facilitates broader test coverage, which can significantly reduce the time required to complete release cycles. By abstracting test execution away from physical devices, organizations gain the ability to scale testing and validation activities in response to demand rather than infrastructure availability. This shift has important implications for how testing effort is allocated. Test scenarios that were previously deprioritized due to cost or logistical complexity become feasible, allowing a wider range of functional paths, data conditions, and failure modes to be exercised. However, increased capacity alone does not automatically translate into increased confidence. Without a clear model for managing coverage, dependencies, and result interpretation, virtualized environments risk amplifying existing testing inefficiencies rather than resolving them. As organizations increasingly embed testing into automated delivery workflows, the ability to integrate validation activities into modern CI/CD pipelines becomes essential. Via published APIs, a virtualized ATM environment can be effectively integrated into modern CI/CD pipelines to support efficient, repeatable, high-precision, and fully traceable test cycles. However, scale without structure introduces risk. For this approach to operate effectively within an enterprise setting, automation and integration must be supported by clearly defined governance and control mechanisms. Access security, roles, and permissions must be configured to align with corporate standards while still enabling effective collaboration across distributed teams. This ensures that increased testing velocity does not come at the expense of accountability, auditability, or organizational coherence. Together, these characteristics allow testing activity to scale in both volume and complexity while remaining controlled, repeatable, and trusted. As testing activity becomes increasingly automated, integrated, and scalable, its role within the organizational SO evolves. Validation is no longer confined to a final checkpoint prior to a development release, but becomes a continuous source of operational insight. A well-functioning testing process provides decision support within a continuous enterprise learning cycle. Test results inform prioritization, risk assessment, and release decisions, allowing teams to respond more effectively to changing requirements and market conditions. When treated as a learning mechanism rather than a pass-fail gate, testing enables organizations to deliver more valuable consumer services with greater speed and at lower cost. Defects are identified earlier, business trade-offs are made more consciously, and investment is directed toward areas of highest impact. This perspective places testing at the center of an iterative improvement loop, linking technical execution with business outcomes. The above perspectives reflect how we think about testing at Paragon, not as a gatekeeping exercise, but as a disciplined and structured source of insight that enables better decisions across the enterprise. Our responsibility as a technology partner is to provide more than testing tools and simulators. We support our customers with reliable platforms, deep domain expertise, and an approach that aligns with their governance frameworks, operational standards, and long-term objectives. Testing should strengthen delivery confidence, not introduce friction or uncertainty. Long-term value is not created by isolated features or short-term efficiencies. It is created by helping organizations build scalable, repeatable, and trusted delivery processes that evolve alongside their business. This philosophy shapes how we design our solutions, how we engage with customers, and how we think about the future of payments testing. Because in the constantly evolving global payments landscape, testing and delivery confidence are not optional, they are foundational. Thank you for listening today.